Hey, it's me. It's so easy to forget that emotional change cannot happen by force. You can't just will yourself to feel differently. You can, however, use your willpower for what I think is the important, sometimes boring job of looking for the true cause behind your confusing feelings. You can also decide firmly to walk this path. Your emotions only transform after you've shown the humility to see their darker side again and again. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, probably again and again. Notice. Notice over and over what's wrong in your inner reactions, what's behind your inner reactions. By doing that, you'll slowly become what you want to be, connecting with who you truly are. Now, there's many sides of you. Knowing yourself, the real you that's been hidden even from you, is the main goal. So let's look at why most people don't realize how many sides they have. Sure, most people know some things about themselves, their goals, their quirks, their tastes, and so on. But there's so many other layers people ignore. Think about how you act around different people, for example. Your family, friends, coworkers. Maybe you show a different side of yourself in each setting. Now imagine acting around person A the same way you act around person B. You'll start to see that you have many variations of you, kind of like going through the entire alphabet. And that's only on the surface. There are even more sides to you that never come out in public, right? So how can we dive deeper to find the real you, the real person inside? Well, I think the first step is finding your desires. The first thing to do is to figure out your desires. And I don't mean huge life goals. Even tiny moments of irritation or happiness are tied to some desire. Think of a small event in your day that maybe made you annoyed, uneasy, or even hopeful. There's always a wish behind it. So if you want to know who you are, start by labeling the wishes hidden in those daily reactions. It's not hard. It does take some practice. Remember, I've often suggested doing a daily review. You start at the end of each day, note how you felt at different times. So instead of just saying, I was mad here or happy there, ask, why was I mad? What did I really want when I got mad or scared? I was angry. So what did I want that I didn't get? If I was happy, what desire does God fulfill? Make it a habit to question yourself in this way. Look at your reactions each day and ask, which desire is at work here? This little exercise will help you see yourself more clearly and better understand why you became who you are and why you have certain wishes. Now, your unconscious wishes often differ from your conscious ones, and that's one major cause of conflict in our lives. Sometimes you keep doing the same frustrating things and don't see why. Here's why. Your day-to-day, i.e. conscious wishes, might line up with a higher ideal, while you also have lower, more selfish wants underneath. These hidden wants can sneakily push you in directions that contradict your main goal. So even if your outward actions are good, your higher motives get a bit messy when they're mixed with hidden lower motives. Now, the good news is that simply noticing these mixed reasons already begins to cleanse you. You might wonder why something pure and good still brings trouble. Usually it's because you don't see the other side of your motive, the part that's selfish or based in fear. Purification doesn't mean you simply stop wanting something. It means separating the higher from the lower motives. And at first, it's just by observing them. Okay, so please don't force your feelings. That doesn't work. It only buries them deeper. Instead, try calmly saying, I want this or that. Part of me wants it for a good reason, a genuine reason, but I see there's also a selfish angle in there too. Over time, as you keep acknowledging this, those lower motives will weaken. People often act like thoughts and feelings are totally different. From a spiritual standpoint, both are forms of subtle energy. Feelings can often just be stronger. So, for example, an opinion not backed by deep emotion generally is weaker than one fueled by strong feelings. It's also easier to change a purely intellectual view than an emotional one. You know how tough it is to change opinions you've held your whole life, even the ones that don't really matter much to you? Now think how much harder it is to shift emotional reactions that have personal importance. That's why changing your emotions takes real patience, humility, and steady work. And that's why you shouldn't freak out if, after realizing, hey, I'm selfish in this area, you still don't feel different. For a while, just let yourself become aware of these hidden feelings. Keep noticing them. Over time, they'll truly start to shift. A big part of self discovery is figuring out your desires. Some are good, some are bad, some are downright contradictory. You might think you know exactly what you want on the outside, i.e., a stable direction in life, but inside, you're tied in knots. Sometimes it feels you have no idea what you really want. And that's because you've buried your conflicting desires and they're all knotted up. It can feel scary to see this confusion. You may be tempted to run from it or pretend you want something else. The only way out, though, is to face each string in that tangle, one by one, calmly looking at each little wish. It's not about judging them as stupid or unworthy, just seeing them for what they are. Part of you might want two or more incompatible things. That's the inner child who's stuck in old habits. If you keep ignoring that child, you can't solve your real problems. And because desires have magnetic energy, they pull in outer events that match your inner battles. So on the outside, you keep ending up with conditions you consciously don't want, but unconsciously do. You might, for instance, wish for success in one area, but also want the easy parts of the opposite scenario. If you hide that second, less flattering wish, you actually attract the downside of it. This is why recognizing your conflicting desires is important. Once you face them, you can move toward one clear, well-chosen direction, willing to pay the price. Not easy, but it is possible if you persevere. Now, we've talked about personal images before, those childhood formed impressions that cause trouble in your adult life. I also wanted to mention that there are mass images, shared beliefs or illusions in a whole society, culture, or age group. These mass images could match up with your personal ones, making them even stronger. If you don't share a certain mass image, it won't hit you as hard. So, for example, people once believed that most humans only live to about 45. Because of that, many actually did die around that age. Now, medical advances help us live longer, for sure. But it also works the other way around. Humanity's overall mindset, i.e., that we can live longer, helps these medical changes take root. Another mass image, people assume once you're old, you must be weak or sick. So these beliefs color your life more or less depending on whether you're holding a matching personal image. All this to say, be aware of these mass images, question these mass images. As you begin digging into yourself, old repressed emotions will rise up. The more conscious you get, the more you'll naturally think of how you affect others. While your feelings may be messy, try not to dump them on the people around you. Don't deny your emotions or bury them again. Rather, find ways to explore them, maybe through journaling or a trusted guide without hurting others. Because as you grow in self awareness, you also grow in compassion and responsibility for how your energy touches and influences others. Okay, so remember, this path is not about perfection overnight. It's about honest self observation, day by day, moment by moment. By doing your daily reviews and noticing all the subtle desires in each reaction, you'll slowly untangle your conflicts. You'll learn why you want what you want and how to aim for something healthier and truer. Yes, it takes humility, and it leads to genuine peace and freedom, both within yourself and with those around you. So I encourage you to keep going step by step, trusting that each moment of self-honesty and willingness to see your lower motives already brings light into your soul. And with time, your emotions will gently shift into a state of harmony and truth. I love you. Connect soon.